Life is lessons turned to blessings.
Life is.
All of the drama, the decompression.
Life is.
Life's a journey with turns and twists.
Life is.
The experiences you journey with.
Life is.
Enduring those storms to make you stronger.
Life is.
Life is the reason you hold on longer.
Life is.
Life is a trip wherever you take it.
Life is.
Life in short is whatever you make it.
Life is. Life is. Life is. Life is.
Hello everyone, I'm Keish and this is Life Is. Thank you for tuning in today, and I wanted to let you all know that it's raining here in Indianapolis, and so yeah, my hair may not be on the fly tip today, but you know, we get it started. So today, I would like to tell y'all a little story. I met this guy yesterday and we hit it off so well. We thought we knew each other, but we really didn't. But after we realized that we didn't know each other, our vibe was still the same. With that being said, I want to introduce Robert, my new co-host. Hi,
How you doing?
Robert. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much.
Okay, don't laugh at me, you know, when I get in the chair, you guys, you know. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I am doing awesome.
Good. Love to hear it.
So, did the rain bother you any today?
Not really. Just mainly the drivers, mainly.
Oh, right?
All the time. It never fails.
Even when it's snowing, they drive like it is dry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All the time. All the time.
So, okay, we're going to start with asking you a question, which is one of my favorite questions in life.
Okay.
What is life to you?
Wow, that is a really, really good question. Life to me is about change. It's ever evolving. It's being able to adjust and adapt to different situations. Everybody's situation is different, but to me personally, that's what it is. It's about basically growing, overcoming, adjusting, and adapting, and just making sure that tomorrow is better than it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. I truly believe that it is forever evolving.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go ahead and get into our session today.
Okay.
So tell me something about your childhood.
Oh man, wow. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, to my mom. She had me when she was 15. And she didn't want a child. She didn't want a child at all. And so I was actually born premature. So I spent time in an incubator, because you wouldn't believe, I'm 6'6" now, but I was this little tiny baby in an incubator. And I came out, and once I hit the ground, I was straight up in just abusive situations since the word go.
So why didn't she want a child?
Well, just from listening to the stories that were told to me, she was young, and my grandmother pretty much told her one Christmas, actually the Christmas when she had me in October. So when Christmas rolled around, she said, well, Merry Christmas, that's your gift. And so that kind of, I don't know, that was the thing that kind of had to go into a deep spiral, on top of the fact that she was young.
Yeah.
But after that, it was just a matter of her going out, living in different places, and we did well for a minute, and then she met a man that would forever change my life, and that was my brother's father. Yeah.
So she had other children also?
Eventually she would have my brother, who would be 8 years apart from me, and then she would have my sister, who would be 8 years apart from my brother. We all have different fathers.
So with that, did she want the kid, did her attitude change about being a mother?
I can tell you right now, she treats my brother and my sister better. They're still in Cleveland. They're close-knit. I'm by myself. It's just me.
Do you have any other family members here, or they're all in Ohio?
They're scattered between Ohio. I have some in California, some in Arizona, Georgia, the Carolinas, but in Indiana, it's just me.
Do you talk to them on a regular basis?
I used to talk to my brother a lot.
Mhm.
I used to talk to my sister at one point, but I haven't heard from my mom in a while, and that's par for the course. I haven't heard from my brother in a while. I do not hear from my sister, so realistically, no, it's just me.
Oh, well, not anymore, because I'm here.
Hey, that's what I'm
I'm
talking
your
about.
new sister.
I love it. Thank you. I need that. I need that in my life.
Okay, so how did your stepfather change your life?
He was a drug dealer. I grew up in the gang. So my mom, she handled drug packages. I did. I was 5 years old the first time I was actually I was in a car, we were riding, and I was in a shootout. I was in the back seat, and he sees a guy, says, "That's him." We turn a corner, he whips out his gun, the guy jumps in a little doorway, pulls out his gun, and they're firing back and forth at each other. I'm in the back window watching this take place. And at the end, they told me, put my head down, and, and when we got home, I got beat for that because, I was a kid, just nosy. I didn't know what.
Wait a minute. You got beat because
They were in a shootout.
they were in a shootout,
Mhm.
and you was trying to see what was going on.
Yeah,
You're
pretty much.
5. That's what 5-year-olds do. They're curious. They want to know what's going on.
Yeah, my mom told me when I was really young that I knew too much. I was too smart for my own good. The first time she ever kicked me out of the house, I was 3. I was 3 years old.
And what did you do? Where did you go?
Well, I remember the day like it was yesterday. It was wintertime. It was in Cleveland, so it was snowing, obviously. She put me on my hat and my coat, kicked me outside of my great-grandmother's house, and I basically stood on the steps for a minute, and I walked off, and I walked to the corner store.
Mm-hmm.
And as I got to the corner store, this man came out of the door, and he sees me, and he's like, "Hey, little man, where you going by yourself?" And I said, "To my grandmother's house."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Well, where does she live?" I said, "Down there." And he held my hand, and I walked him all the way to my grandmother's house. And so that's where I went to my brother's father's mother's house. So that's where I went.
So, what was your mom's mom saying about all of this? She didn't.
She wasn't really involved. She really started getting involved when I was 5. I was left at school one day. My mom told me, "Don't leave the school, stay here, and I'm going to come get you from school." Now, granted, we only lived 2 blocks away.
Mm-hmm.
And back when I was a kid, 5, we actually walked to school by ourselves. And what happened was we got out of school, the kids, we all got out. Next thing I know, the kids were outside playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, back then it was, the kids being called in for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And then they all went in, and then the sun started to set, and I'm still at school waiting for my mom to come get me. And so I walked across town. I was going to Daniel E. Morgan, it was a school in Cleveland. And I walked across town to my grandmother's house, my actual grandmother's house. When I got there and rang the doorbell, my grandmother told me I had hitchhiked. She said, "You hitchhiked to get here?" I said, "No, I didn't." And I got a whooping there. She called my mom. My mom came and got me with my brother's father, and they took turns beating me. I mean, I was being punched and I was being slapped, and yeah, that was pretty traumatic.
Oh. Wow. That's deep. Having children of my own, I couldn't imagine doing that to my babies.
I understand. Me neither. And I have my own children as well.
So, when was the last time when you saw them and just carried on with your life? How did that happen?
The last time I saw my brother's father, wow, I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to scare me really, really bad. He scared me. But when I saw him, he put up alongside me in a car. I was going to the basketball court. And when I looked up and I saw him, I almost felt like I had to go to the bathroom. My stomach dropped, my heart started beating really fast, and I wanted to run. And he started talking to me, and I'm talking to this man, but at the same time, I was like, I'm deathly afraid of this guy because of what I experienced with him.
What type of things did he used to do to you?
Well, I mean, when I was a kid, he sexually assaulted me when I was 7. I used to be tied to the bed, end to end, hands on the post, feet on the post, and extension cord, and I would be beat. One time he would abuse my mom. So one time I was helping my mother, and he beat me to the point where I bled. I had all kind of whips and cuts on my body. And then he took salt, and he rubbed salt into my wounds. And then he ran a tub full of hot water, and he put me in a tub full of hot water. He had pit bulls, he had several. And at one point, one almost nipped me because he was sitting next to him, and he gave it the command to bite me. And he pulled him back right as he almost bit me. I guess 2 o'clock in the morning, I mean, they were both using drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So at 2 o'clock in the morning, this man and my mom would wake me up 2 o'clock in the morning, drag me out of bed, and beat me,
Oh my goodness.
and put me back to bed and tell me basically don't tell anybody what happened to me. So you wouldn't say anything. And you know, back in the 70s when I was born, it was almost like commonplace for a kid to be spanked.
Yeah.
But these are just some of the things that happened to me up to, I mean, I was abused till age 11. That's when the physical abuse stopped, because that's when I actually ran away for the last time. Yeah.
Do you know whatever became of him, or?
All I know now, I haven't seen him in years. My brother used to tell me that he's now in a wheelchair in Ohio. He still lives in Cleveland. My brother sees him.
Mm-hmm.
He even told my brother at one point he wanted to see me. And I told my brother, I said, you know what, at this stage in my life, I said I would have no problem seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in my life, I used to be, there's so many caveats to this, and I used to be bitter.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be really upset, but I learned that I'm not holding them hostage by not forgiving them. I'm actually holding myself hostage. So what I had to do was I had to forgive them for what happened.
Right.
And that's how I was able to transition out of that situation and transition into better.
So did you go see him?
I never, unfortunately, I never did get to go see him. At any point, if my brother ever contacts me and can take me down there to him, I'd go see him and shake his hand and say, hey man, how are you doing? I have nothing against this guy. You know, he was a young man.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was the best he knew. Maybe that was the situation he grew up in, and it was just I was next in line for it. But I don't believe in perpetuating the cycle.
Right.
You know, so I'm going to do my part. But if it is meant for me to meet him and see him, I have nothing but love for that guy.
Oh, that was awesome. Okay. Whew, that's deep.
Yeah.
Okay, so during that entire time, you knew you had to grow up. You knew, what did you want to be when you grow up after all of that has happened to you?
I had a best friend that I met at age 5, and it was funny because I looked at this guy and I told him, I said, you know, man, I don't ever want to work for nobody a day in my life. I was 12 or 13 at the time. And we, you know, rap was taking off. You had Chuck D and Public Enemy, you had Eric B and Rakim, LL Cool J, you know, Boogie Down Production. So I was like, I want to be a rapper. You know, and so we used to go out and we'd beat on his dad's car and make beats. And, you know, we try to do our little raps. But this thing turned into something. It really, truly turned into something. So one day, I was like, you know, man, I'm gonna get a keyboard. And my grandmother bought me a Casio keyboard. And I started making beats on this keyboard. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna write some songs.
Oh my goodness.
And I started writing, and they were good. And it was like, man, we're good at this. So we actually formed a group.
Oh, okay.
And we formed our group. The drummer for Levert lived on my grandmother's street. So
I love Levert.
Yeah, trust me. I was like, it was cool. I was like, man, Levert lived on the street. Let me hit the drummer. So we would see Eddie and Sean all the time. And so we were rapping one day, and the drummer was like, I have beat machines in my basement. So why don't y'all come on over? And we went over there one time, and Sean was over there at one point. Eddie was over at one point. And so we're down there like, man, I'm like, are we auditioning for Eddie and Sean Levert? I said, is this the chance? Are we about to blow up, bro? And it never came to pass. My buddy went into producing. He wanted to produce. He is now really, really well known. And he has his own group, his own production company.
That's good.
I helped to manage it at one point, and but long story short, rap was what I wanted to do. And then I wanted to kind of fade into the background and just kind of be the guy that helped to develop and cultivate the talent. That's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
You know.
So, can you freestyle, or did you write
Oh
your
no,
rhymes?
I know I could freestyle, and I used to have my own stuff too.
So, what you got in your pocket? What can you?
I tell you what, let me do this one for you here. I'll do something that I did a long time ago. A young girl, 22, in the prime of her life, bound to be the main factor in a young child's life. The girl is 6 months deep, but doesn't even think. The child is hands and fingers and toes and a little heartbeat. Less aborted are the opinions that's gave, but we depend on our kids, so with this I'm amazed. Abortion rate is high enough, so why you doing that stuff? Killing baby after baby just help keep the rate up.
Oh, okay, I get it. So you were more of a thinker than just, get your chains up and your 22s.
Yeah.
And, okay.
Yeah, I was very very intellectual. I always wanted to rap about something that had really, was impactful.
Yes.
And I think that was just something that was really important to me, was being able to make sure whatever I talked about, I wanted it to be something that people could feel and something that could, impact change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you moved out of the rapping, and what did you do after that?
I spent a little bit of time working at Wendy's. I spent about
Hey, Wendy's has good fries.
Wendy's,
They're always hot.
Wendy's is fantastic. Their fries are the best. Now, I worked at Wendy's for about a month, and I hated it. And I was like, I don't like fast food. I'm not going to do this anymore. And so I left Wendy's, and my buddies, they were working at a country club. And so I was like, man, my boys work at a country club. Let me go to the country club, too. So I went to the country club, and I became a bus boy.
Okay.
So I'm out there bussing tables at this country club, and I'm going to tell you, all my buddies worked in the dishwashing section. I'm a bus table guy. I'm a bus boy. I got drinks in my hand. Nothing failed, thank goodness. But there's this guy at the table, and my boss comes out and says, hey, there's a guy out there. He's worth $300 million. When you see him, don't you speak to him. That's what he said to me. So I'm 15? He said, don't speak to the guy. So I'm like, I'm going to speak to this guy. I'm going to speak to this guy. So I walked out and I said, hey, man, how you doing? My name is Robert and blah, 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 blah. And this guy looks at me and he goes, hey, Robert, how you doing? My name is such and such. And it was a really good conversation. And so I put the drinks down and I'm getting ready to leave. He says, Robert, come here. And I come over to him. He pulls out a $50 bill and he hands it to me. He says, don't tell them I gave this to you. And he gave me $50. So I did that for a little bit. And then I just kind of I kind of went through a real rough patch, which I'm ready to cover anytime you're ready to hear about it, because I gave all that up, which transitioned me to the military. You want to know what it was?
I do. That's what we're here for.
I wound up going through from a physical and mental abusive situation to a verbal and emotional abusive situation. I lived with my grandparents for a little bit. My grandmother loved me to death when I was a baby, and I loved her too. She was like so dear to me. And what wound up happening was, while living with her, I don't know what happened to our bond, but it got really rocky, and so we wound up clashing.
Because you're a teenager.
And it was just really the words that were said. Because I love my grandmother, but she would pick on me. And all my buddies in the neighborhood, like my one good friend, he knew, he'd always say, man, Rob, you look good, your grandmama and they dress you well. He said, but I got a question for you. Why is she so mean to you? Why is she so mean to you? And I'm like, I do not know.
And is this your mother's mother?
And it was, and again, I was like, I don't know. And I wound up having to leave there because of the situation got so intense. Uncle Mike, I'm sorry. We got into it because my grandmother was messing with me one night, and it just got to the point where I told her, I said, I just wish you stop with me.
Yeah.
And my grandfather lost it. And the next day I came home from school, he had a 22 in his hand, and he told me sit down and told me, he said, that's my wife. If you ever talk to my wife like that again, he said, I will shoot you. And then I would call the police and tell them I did it. And that kind of was like the beginning of the end. I wound up being homeless, basically. I would ride a bike across town and go to school. There was a couple nights I would sleep behind a school building. I remember one day I was riding a bike across town to get to my school bus. I would drop the bike off at my grandparents' house, and then walk around the corner to get the bus to go to school. And it was raining in Cleveland, so I'm riding a bike in my school clothes in the rain, and a big people in Cleveland, you know what an RTA bus is. This big RTA bus came past, looked at me, and the driver rolled right into a big puddle of water, and he just drenched my clothes. And I went to school. I was teased. But like when I graduated from high school, I was homeless.
So how did you cope? I mean, even as a little child, 3, how did you cope with all of this that was happening to you? What were you thinking to escape, to get away from all of that?
I felt like, actually, when they would put me in a room, that was like the safest place for me to be. I can't explain it. I don't know how to really explain it, and I'm hoping that everybody can grasp what I'm saying. I just feel protected. I felt like I was supposed to see all of this. I was supposed to experience all of this just to understand that there was more. That, this is what you're in right now, but this isn't where you have to stay. Even at 3, when I went through what I went through, when I would be in a room, it would just be like, man, they'd be like, you're on punishment. You can stay here and you're going to not go anywhere. And I would go in a room and grab rollers. You know those sponge rollers that you used to have back in the day?
Yes.
I would take
I'd
take those spongy parts off, and I'd have the little thing would become a man, and I'd get some yarn or some thread, and I'd like string it from the door, and I'd make little zip lines with hangers, and I was just like this kid that would think of anything. And I think that when I went through that stuff, it was just like almost like, what is it all for? And I'll bring you back to bring you forward. When I was 10, my mom threatened to kill us. I was really protective of my brother. I'm laying in the bed with him, and she woke me up in the middle of the night, and it was a gun pressed against my head.
Was she on drugs?
She was. And she pressed my head back into the pillow, and she told me to be quiet, don't say anything. She's crying. She's saying, I can't take this anymore. So what I'm going to do, she says, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill your brother, and I'm going to kill myself. And then at 10 years old, I had to talk my mom out of killing us.
Oh, my goodness.
So when you're young, and being given the words, it's like, why am I giving these words? What is it
right.
So believe me, to be what turned me around, I guess it was a reason for it. Yeah. That's my main question. That's my main point. It was a reason for this.
You were scared out of your mind, but you had the courage and the love for your mother to talk her out of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, and so when did she become drug free? Do you know that she never?
I still today can't confirm or deny whether she is or whether she isn't. My mom and we aren't very close. I've never been the child that, even though I made it out of Cleveland, I've never been the child that she was ever proud of. Still to today, I forgive her. I love her. I've told her this.
Right.
As well as my father. But for some reason, whatever she's holding on to, she has it.
Maybe, the things that have happened to her, and she doesn't know how to express it and how to move past it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yep, you're right.
Whew. So after all of that and school, and did you go to college?
I actually did. First of all, I joined the Army at 17.
All right.
I at a girlfriend's house, and she was like, "What a drill!" So she said, "Sergeant Cretchy's coming over." She remember the guy's name, Sergeant Cretchy. He's coming over to my house right now. I said, "Who is that?" She said, "He's an Army recruiter." I said, "Do you think I could go to the Army?" This man looked at me and was like, "You sure can go to the Army."
Of course you can, and you can, and you can.
Exactly, and I didn't know it was a quota thing, but he was like, "Yeah, you go to Army," and so they had me take the ASVAB, and I took the ASVAB, and he's like, "Okay, well you did well on the ASVAB," and then he was trying to tell me about y'all. I said, "No." I said, "I'm not going into the Army unless I can either go into medical or law." I said, "If I can't do either one of those, I'm not going."
Right.
And he said, "Well, are you squeamish?" I said, "No." He said, "How about a surgical tech?" I said, "What do they do?" And he told me what a surgical tech did. I said, "Yeah, I can do that job." And next thing I know, a year later, I graduated on June 6th. And on June 17th, I was off to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, where I went to boot camp. And then I went to school at Fort Sam Houston, San Antonio, Texas, Surge Tech School. And then I finished my Army career at Fort Knox, Kentucky, working at the Ireland Army Hospital, 18 years old, helping to deliver babies.
Oh my goodness, this is awesome.
Yeah, and then I wound up joining the Navy because they were downsizing.
Mm-hmm.
And then no sooner than I got on board the ship, I was on the USS Nimitz, which was way too small for a guy of my height. And then next thing I know, we're over in Saudi, enforcing the no-fly zone over Kuwait. So I was over there in the war, and I got out and had it was just graceful that I was able to go to school.
Right.
And I went to college up in Washington State,
Mm-hmm.
where I maintained a 4.0 GPA, carrying 8 full-time classes, including psychology, abnormal psych, math, which I hate. And
That's like most of the world.
right, couldn't stand it, but
Like, let me get my calculator.
right. But I got my I wound up getting my registered counselor license,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of just really rolled things into me finding my purpose. Mm-hmm.
So, counselor, what else evolved out of that?
What I'll say, hitting the brick wall and questioning everything, because I had done so much. I had been a volunteer firefighter. I had been a part of the community police academy. I had held several jobs. Radio personality for 4 years. Cube 93 in Seattle, Washington. 93.7 KRQ in Tucson, Arizona. Had my own show out in town and things like that. We call it the Monday Night Street Party. I was really, and at this point, did some stand-up comedy. And yes, I had touched so many different things. And then I hit this wall. Bam! It was like, what am I supposed to be doing with all of this? Because I got this talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've been given a gift, but why did you give me this gift and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it?
Right.
And then the answer was given to me. And so I said, well, what am I supposed to be doing? And the answer that was given to me was, you've been doing what I wanted you to do the whole time. I said, well, what have I been doing? Because I don't get it. It says, you've been helping people. And it was like, wait, so you're telling me that? I said, oh, because what it was whether I was homeless or eating and had a bed to sleep in, I always would put my feelings aside to make sure that somebody else was doing okay. Mm-hmm. So I realized at that point, that's my gift. Mm-hmm. That's my talent. That's what I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be somebody who can help to impact change. So what I went through wasn't for me to suffer. Mm-hmm. It was for me to not hold on to, but it was for me to learn from, because somebody else is going to need something from me. And I can't help them if I haven't realized my purpose.
Right. If you haven't gone through it, how can you help someone else?
Exactly. Exactly.
This is awesome. So, what are you doing with your life now?
Now I work for a law firm. I used to work for the VA. I worked for the VA for quite a while.
Shout out to the vets. What?
What's up, veterans? Army Navy veterans. We love you guys. Thank you for all you do and what you've done. Thank you. I actually started working for the VA in 2010. Started off at the St. Louis VA Medical Center. John Cochran. Then was transferred over to Jefferson Barracks, where I ran the enrollment and eligibility department for a year. Went to the National Call Center, worked there for about 4 months, got really good there, and then was promoted, which brought me to Indiana as a VSR. And so that's a Veteran Service Representative for you who do not know. We were the ones that you file your claim through the VBA.
File your claim.
And
File
so
your
if
claim.
you have a claim, I'm going to wrap this around. You guys will know exactly what to do. I'm going to tell you. And
Get your pen and paper.
Yeah, please do. If you have a pen and paper, write this down. You're going to need it. It's invaluable for us veterans. I later got promoted again. I was the homeless coordinator for the state of Indiana. I was a minority veteran program coordinator for the state of Indiana through the VBA, Veterans Benefits Administration. I got promoted and became an RVSR, so I became a rater. So our job was to basically, we would rate cases for VA. We would adjudicate the claims. We were the person who would either grant or deny service connection to veterans based on the information that we would receive. So got really good there.
Oh.
And then I
Did
stepped
you see
off.
my name come across?
You know what? This
Because
was
I know
back
my
in,
name should have come across 2, 3 times.
If this was in 2015, you probably did.
I'm just asking. You know that you should have hooked the sister up.
Look, trust me, I did as much as I could, but here's the thing, I'm still on the case. Once I left VA, I did several other jobs, but then I wound up going into auto sales for a little bit. So I have a lot of auto sales knowledge, helping people to build credit knowledge. Basically went through that, went into money management, wealth management for a little bit. Then, while I was selling cars, my buddy who runs his law firm, gave me a call one day and said, I need you. I'd like you to come work with me. You know, what would it take to buy you out of the automotive industry? And I looked at him and I said, you can't afford me.
Oh,
I said,
baller.
I said, you can't afford me. I said, but the thing is, I said, you're working with my demographic. You're working with veterans. I will gladly help to do this. And so I've been working with his law firm for veterans now for a year.
Okay, so what does that entail?
Basically, when a veteran files a claim through our law firm, myself or a lady named Barb, we're the ones that you would first interact with.
Okay.
After your initial consultation, we make sure you get everything you need to have your exams. We make sure that, like, if you have had a claim with VA,
right,
you can send me your rating decisions. I can look at your rating decisions. Will is his name. He can look at your rating decisions. We do what's called disability benefits questionnaires. So what the VA has done is they've taken an approach of where you don't have to go to the VA if you file a claim for compensation and pension.
Right.
Now what we can do is we can give you this form, and you can take this form to your private provider, and they can fill this form out. And then we'll get that form back. Well, I'm proficient in being able to read the disability benefits questionnaires to see if they answer the questions properly. And if they have, great, then we can send that to the VA to be added to your file. If they haven't, I'm the guy that'll type you a nice email and say, hey buddy, thank you for sending me this, but this isn't good enough. I need you to redo this. And so some providers love me, some providers hate me, but what we've been able to do so far has been magic. We've been able to help a lot of veterans see 100%. We've been helping a lot of people really maximize their benefits. So it's a blessing.
Awesome.
It's huge.
That is great.
Yeah.
We need people who are on our side to help.
Don't we?
Oh my goodness, I can't explain how many vets I see who are, I mean, you could tell something's wrong. And they're like, I was denied or I was this. And I'm like, oh, I said, don't give up. I would tell them, don't give up.
Right.
Keep going. Keep trying. Because, oh my goodness, like, I'm going to say something. I was going to say, I'm still working at the VA, trying to get fired today.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I understand though. Believe me, I do.
But, let's see, what else? So, what would you like to tell the people who are watching right now in reference to staying strong, keeping their faith, and to help them move forward in life, no matter what obstacles they are enduring right now?
Good question. What I would like to tell everybody out there, first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I will tell you this, I don't believe in chance meetings. I believe you're right where you're supposed to be. And every message that is given is one that can be received if you just meditate on it and let it hit you where it's supposed to hit you, because you're meant to receive it. No matter what you've been through, no matter what you're going through, all I want you to know is that there is a better tomorrow coming for you. I have a saying that if I'm able to wake up tomorrow's another day for me to get it right. That's something that I say to myself all the time. So no matter what's going on, I want you to understand something, and use this analogy if you will. Think about when it's raining outside and you're on an airplane and the plane is taking off and you're going through and the clouds are thick and you're on the runway and you're looking and the plane takes off and you're like, oh my God, this is crazy. It's raining. There's thundering and lightning up here in these clouds. This isn't good. You come through the clouds and you're in the clouds and now you're getting the turbulence. But what do you notice when you come out of the clouds? It's sunny. There's never a time once you come through the clouds that it's not sunny on the other side. And you can look down and still see the thunder and the light. You see the lightning going off, but you're not down there anymore. You're where it's sunny. I don't care what you're going through right now. I want you to know that you are loved, you are cared about beyond measure, and everything that you want, everything that you need, everything begins and ends with you. No matter who has been in your life, no matter who comes and who goes, I want you to hold on to the fact that you are somebody special. You were made special, and you are going to do wonderful, wonderful things if you just allow yourself to receive that and emulate that and just let that just perforate through your being. I'm telling you, you will do wonderful things. I believe in you all so much, and I love you all so much.
That is awesome. Oh my goodness. I don't even think I can say something. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in to our show. Like he said, you are somebody. You will always be somebody.
Yes.
Regardless of who tell you and how they tell you, you are somebody.
That's right.
Don't let nobody steal your joy. And even if they do, it's all right to be upset just for that moment. But let that moment only be a moment. Don't let it continue to mess up your day.
That's right.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Keish. This is Rob. I am who I am because of I am. Life is.
Life is.
Life is lessons turned to blessings.
Life is.
All of the drama, the decompression.
Life is.
Life's a journey with turns and twists.
Life is.
The experiences you journey with.
Life is.
Enduring those storms to make you stronger.
Life is.
Life is the reason you hold on longer.
Life is.
Life is a trip wherever you take it.
Life is.
Life in short is whatever you make it.
Life is. Life is. Life is. Life is.